Hi there, this video is a first of several about binomial times binomial multiplication. You may not have heard of that, but I think you can see by looking at the page, what we're going to do is we're going to FOIL. Now, FOIL is really just a memory trick to remind you what to do, because you're actually doing binomial times binomial multiplication. I won't yell at you if you're going to FOIL, but pay attention. So I bet all of you can fill these in, because F is first and outside. You know it, inside and last. Now I'm going to fess up. I've been teaching an awful long time, and there's a lot of students that know this stuff. But then when I say, well, what does that mean? They're like, I don't know. So today we're going to start at the very beginning to make sure that you know what this is. All right, so let's look at this set of brackets. So this is my first binomial, 2 terms here, 2 terms here is my second one, right? And we're multiplying. We know that because there's those brackets there. So if we just look at that one, which one of those terms is first? Well, it's the x. And if we look at just this bracket, which one's first? Well, the x. So that is the first times first. So this is first. Now, let's forget that. Now let's look at outside. Imagine this is you sitting on a bus or something like that. So here's the windows out here, and then there's the aisle seat, and then there's the aisle, and then the other aisle seat, and then the window. Well, which is if you look at just this one, which one is the outside? That's the one that's by the window. And if we look at this one, which one's the outside? Well, it's not this, that's sitting in the middle. This one is sitting on the outside. So there is the outside. Because I know sometimes teachers, oh, we're going to FOIL this, and they'll just fly through this. And it's like, if you missed the day originally when this was taught, and I get it. I mean, oh my goodness, if you guys tried to explain to me how to play a video game or just handed me the controller in the middle of, I don't know, Fast and Furious. Oh no, that's a movie. I don't even know video games, but I'd have no clue, and I'd be so lost and frustrated. So take it easy, be gentle on yourself. Let's do it. Now we got inside. Well, if you know these ones are the outside, it should be clear that this and this are the inside. And then last is there, because if we look at this bracket, that's the last term. And if we look at this bracket, that's the last term. Now, I want to show you why we FOIL. I'm just going to write it over here. If we go back to the previous videos, when we were multiplying a monomial times a polynomial, we used the distributive property. So we would distribute once and twice. Oops, I missed the 2. So that's your F and your O. So we have distributed this X through the second bracket is what you'd say. And then if you do the 5 and distribute through, FO, these are my insides, and these are my lasts. That's all that FOIL is. It isn't some magical thing that teachers just made up. It's a way to remind you that you are distributing twice. Ta-da. All right, this bottom part, what I want to show you is really cool. I think is really cool too. Because I'm going to do one question. I'm going to do it 3 different ways. And it's up to you to decide which one you like the best. I have students that have always used Brian's method. Now, Brian is a guy I teach with, and he's wicked awesome. And I actually saw students doing it this way, and I said, who taught you that? Where did you learn that? That's so cool. And they're like, Brian, and I'm like, oh, awesome. Okay, and then I'm going to do FOIL like you're used to. Then I'm also going to show you vertical multiplication. I remember a student I had a number of years ago. She was amazing in math. A little plug. She was from Gordon's Reserve, and she told me she had her family had the math gene, and she did everything vertically, and she always got it right. So I don't know if there's a math gene out there, but if there is, apparently it exists on Gordon's Reserve. All right, let's do this. And I'm going to go real slow. So Brian's method is kind of a little bit like FOIL, but we take it in some different steps. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write it out like that. And I really like this method when if you are starting out and you've never done this before, because really it allows you to do one simple step at a time. So we're going to do first times first. And all we're going to write here, I don't care what that multiplies out to. I'm not worried about multiplying. This first step that I'm doing right here is just, it's like an organization. So I'm only worried about one thing at a time. So there's my first. Then we're doing outside. So there's outside. So there's first. Mark that. Whoopsies. There's your outside. Now we're going to do inside. I'm using brackets there because I'm going to have to multiply this stuff, but I'm not doing it right now. So there is my I, and there is my L. 5 times 2. So all I did was just write the bits, organize it. Now I'm actually going to do the multiplying. So x times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. And it's just practice. Everybody does it if you just put the coefficient before the variable. And then this is 5 times x, which you know is like 5x. And this is 5 times 2, which is 10. So this, I'm just going to call it organizing. This part is your multiplication. And I'm now thinking I should have made this page wider. Once we're done multiplying, we're going to see if there's any like terms that we can collect. So this is my only x squared. So I'm just going to bring it down here. Then if we look here, these two are the same. It's 2x and 5x. So 2x and 5x is 7x. Because these were, we didn't write it, but those were both positives. And then there's just the 10 left over. And there we go. So this was the organizing. This part was the multiplying. And then this part was, we'll call it collect like terms. 95% of the questions, see, just realized you can't see that. Let me fix that for you. Okay. 95% of the time when you're collecting like terms, it's going to be those middle two terms, the oi, that get combined into one. I can rearrange the questions and change things up so it's not the middle two terms, but if it's written like a normal question and it looks fine, then it's going to be those middle ones. So watch that. Now, plain old-fashioned FOIL is x times x is x squared. Outside, x times 2, that's my oi, plus 2x. Now we go inside. I lost my o there. Plus 5x. And then we go last. Plus 10. X squared. There are my middle two terms that are the same, so I can combine them. Plus 10. And I agree, FOIL is a lot easier. Let me phrase that. Foil is faster. This one's faster than doing this. But you know what? If I'm just learning, this is a really good way to do it. Do it Brian's way until you get comfortable, and then flip to this one. That being said, that one lovely lady from Gordon's Reserve, man, she could rock this vertical multiplication. And this requires you to remember or know how to do just good old-fashioned multiplication, like 35 times 18. Not with your calculator, by hand. And you go 8 times 5 is 40. And you carry the 4. 8 times 3 is 24, and 4 more is 28. Look familiar? And then you go 1 times 5. Now, remember, you don't write it there. Some people put a 0 in there as a placeholder. I always just move over. So 1 times 5 is 5. And 3 times 1 is 3. So we add it up, 0 and 0. 8 and 5 is, let's see, 13. Carry the 1, 630. Now, the point of showing you this is to remind you that you go 8 times this one, and then 8 times that one, and then you do, so that's your top line, and then you move over, and you go 1 times 5 and 1 times 3. And the reason you move over is because this is the ones area, this is the tens row, and this is the hundreds. And you'll see how this is going to apply here. So same process. We're going to go 2 times 5, but you get to write the whole 10 there, plus 2 times x is 2x. The trick here to remember is you got to put signs in there. Now we go x times 5. Now that's 5x. It doesn't make any sense to write it here underneath this one because those aren't like terms. We're going to move over, just like when we wrote the second line here. We moved over, so the 5x goes there, and then x times x is x squared. By the way, this is the multiplication sign. It looks a little weird in there, so I don't want you to get confused and think there's an extra x kicking around. Now we combine our like terms. X squared plus 2 and 5 is 7x plus 10. This one, vertical, I don't use very often, but if I have like 3 terms times another one that's got 3 terms, like a polynomial times a polynomial, or a trinomial, actually that would be a trinomial times a trinomial, I will do this because it helps me stay organized. If I've just got 2 terms, I will usually use FOIL. That's simply because I've been doing this for a long time. Okay, next video is going to be practice of this process. And you can choose to use Brian's method or FOIL or vertical. I'll probably do a sample at least of each one to start with. Math is cool.